Hello folks, and welcome to the FPL Crypto Gameweek 7 Watchlist Gameweek 6 review. In this video, I'm going to look through my team's performance. I'm a much happier manager. From Gameweek 6, we had a green arrow at long last. It's 3 game weeks coming. I'm much happier, as you can see. I was a little bit miserable and depressed in the Gameweek 6 Watchlist video that I posted last week. So, order of events, I'm going to go through the review of Game Week 6, and then I'm going to add or remove players to my FPL watch list. This is a watch list I've been keeping since Game Week 1 of FPL assets that I'm interested in either acquiring or monitoring for upcoming games to see if I want to get them into my team for various reasons. So, I've been adding to this since Game Week 1 and removing players that have not been cutting the mustard, etc. throughout the game weeks. After that, then I'm going to ask you guys for your crazy predictions for Game Week 7. So every game week I try and get you guys to stick something in the comments, a little idea of what you think might happen for the upcoming game week that's a little bit far-fetched and out there. Some of them have nearly came through. Obviously, it's very hard to predict these things this season. For instance, last game week, who knew that Man City were going to lose? Weird things happen every week. So then after that, we're going to talk about my Game Week 7 transfers. So I have 2 free transfers in the bag, and I have a lot of flexibility and a lot of options. There are players that are on the chopping block that I'm looking to get rid of, so I'll talk about that a little bit later too. In between then, I'll try and take a quick peek at the FPL Crypto 6 Picks Mini League to see who's topping that and how they're getting on, and some other things that might crop up throughout the course of this video. So we'll get stuck into Game Week 6 and look at how the team got on. And all I've got to say is thank you, Kevin De Bruyne. Thank you very much. He was my vice captain because Sterling got benched. It was a roller coaster of emotions on Saturday when I saw the lineup, the starting 11 for Man City, and realized that Pep had spinned that roulette viciously against me. Raheem Sterling named on the bench. It got worse. As the game progressed, it was 5-0 after 20 minutes. And all I could think to myself is what damage what Raheem Sterling had have put on Watford if he had started that game. Obviously great for Aguero owners. Bernardo Silva coming. All those assets like Mahrez, Bernardo Silva, lowly owned assets because of the rotation in the previous game weeks. But it was Kevin De Bruyne that finished off in style. He ended up with those 2 assists and a goal towards the end of the game in the second half. 8-0 the final score. It was incredible. And then there's another legend in amongst this 11. I started him this game week. John Lundstrom. I kept the faith. 12 points. That assist along with the clean sheet was epic. Epic for a 4 point. Well, he started at 4 million. He's 4.3 million now. What an asset John Lundstrom has turned out to be. And he had a Kevin De Bruyne-esque assist. I watched it. His through ball for Musset. The second goal against Everton was just a touch of genius. Piece of quality by the classified defender. And I'm loving all his points. Bring them on. He is probably not going to start next game week, but he's not leaving my team for the foreseeable future. Too much value in that guy. Montoya then came back from illness and produced a decent performance. He didn't get any attacking returns. There's no attacking returns this season so far. So it is a little bit worrying because he has started 5 games. He's not getting... He is creating, but he's not getting the points. And the bonus points are scarce too. So at 4.5, I can't really argue too much that he hasn't produced that much for me. But I will be looking at him maybe over the next few game weeks to see if he passes the test and get some more points before my wildcard hits around Game Week 9, Game Week 10. Alexander-Arnold then, what a dream assist. That little flick by Salah for the assist. And Trent Alexander-Arnold took the free kick to get his goal. Unfortunately, Liverpool did not keep the clean sheet. And Van Dijk, therefore, did not return anything for the second game week in a row. The double Liverpool defence then. Game Week 7, Game Week 8, I think I could probably stay on it. But then questions would need to be asked from Game Week 9 onwards when the fixtures stiffen. United and Tottenham in 9 and 10. Lucas Digne then, okay, there's nothing coming in. The last 2 game weeks, he's blanked. He has shown a lot of attacking potential in those 2 games and before that. Everton are having defensive difficulties, look a little bit weaker at the back in the last 2 games. They've conceded 5 goals in those 2 encounters. I do think he will produce a much more attacking returns as the season progresses. 2 assists so far for Digne, and he's got Man City at home next, which is the painful part of this, because I don't think I want him for that game. I don't think anybody would want a defender for a team that's playing Man City, but it doesn't look too bad beyond that. I'll talk about Lucas Digne when I get to my transfers later on, but he's been disappointing the last 2 game weeks. Not really Digne being disappointing, it's more Everton as a team being very disappointing. Mo Salah with his assist again, very happy with that, to get something out of that. Mane blanked, it's hard, it's really hard. If you have Mane over Salah, it's pain one week, delight the next. It's really hard to predict which player is going to come back with some FPL points every game week. Mason Mount then was a doubt, so I had him as first sub, and he came on and I only got the appearance points. So he had a chance towards the end of the game against Liverpool. Chelsea really piled on the pressure late there and nearly got an equaliser. It's the fixtures that look just so good for Chelsea. I really have to get in on one more Chelsea asset at least for the next 3, 4, 5 game weeks. See a green in front of them, and their attacking team defensively weak, I would say, not very assuring, and lots of injuries there too. So Mount's okay. I mean, he didn't get anything this game week, but I'm very happy to own him. Josh King, painful, absolutely painful. The painful part was this is the first time the VAR has struck me down in my moment of joy. He scored the second goal for Bournemouth that was subsequently disallowed. Rightly so, it was offside by a couple of centimetres. Very painful. And to add to all that, he won a clear penalty that VAR chose to ignore in the second half. And he would have stood up as the penalty taker to execute that one. So he had 2 points, but it could have been much more. Look, I don't think Josh King is an amazing FPL asset. He has returned for me in the last 2 game weeks and in game week 2. I'm just stuck with him for now. I have other issues in my team that I need to deal with first before I address Josh King. And Bournemouth's fixtures aren't terrible. He's probably going to start the next few games. Don't think he's a rotation risk. So again, we'll address in my transfers. I'll talk about him more. Sebastian Haller is a worry. I got him in at game week 4 and he scored an impress against Norwich. But since then, he just really doesn't get many chances every game. He's a typical hold-up player. Great in the air at those flick-on headers, bringing other players into play, like the likes of the Yarmolenkos, Lanzinis, Andersons coming through from midfield. But in terms of getting on the end of opportunities himself, it hasn't been happening the last 2 game weeks. And I've watched the Man United game. He didn't have a sniff in that game. Even though they won 2-0, he never really looked like scoring at all. And for his price and the fact that he plays for West Ham, I don't know if I can justify keeping him any longer. We'll have to look at Sebastian Haller. He's on the chopping list at the moment, unfortunately. Sterling then, so annoying when you see this happen, but at least it's over with. At least he's had his benching in game week 6. There is Carabao Cup football midweek on Wednesday. I know Man City are competing, so I hope he doesn't start that game. I think to play against Preston, it would be just a complete waste of time. Let's hope he stays on the bench, gets a good rest, so he's a guaranteed starter for game week 7 away to a leaky Everton at the moment. 12.1, he dropped in price, Sterling, after his benching. Obviously, managers are getting frustrated with that. I mean, the same thing happened to Bernardo Silva in game week 1. He was benched, and it was a complete dumping of ownership. Everyone just got rid. And it just shows what could happen if you kind of stick with these types of assets, especially in quality attacking teams like Man City. Bernardo Silva, top scoring player game week 6, 19 points, a hat-trick, 3 bonus points. and the extra point for a clean sheet. So he had a huge game week. Dendoncker, complete disappointment again. I mean, there are some players that would have had him first sub and got him in. He had 0 points because of the own goal. Unlucky at that, but it still was an own goal, -2, and he came off early again. He's not in good form, Dendoncker. He's another one of my players that I need to get rid of soon. He's 4.5. I don't utilize him too much, but there are other assets that I'd like to have in as a fifth midfielder. It's a valuable position, midfielders, this year, because there's a lot of value out there. You've got your Todd Cantwells, your John McGinns, Callum Robinsons, all around the 4.5 to 6 million range. There's players there to be had with a little bit of extra cash. I know that the fixtures don't look too bad for Wolves, but they're not playing or producing. They got lucky. They got out of jail in game week 6 with that last minute Jota goal for the draw against Palace. So I'm not really interested in their assets for the moment. Greenwood then says he's got an illness here. Oh, that's right. He was left out of the squad for United. So he never had a chance of coming on and spoiling all those bench points that came from people who benched Lundstram, maybe in the second sub position. Yeah, he might get some game time because of the injury list United have at the moment. It's fast. It's very long. Martial is on there, as we know, with Pogba. And then you've got Rashford, who limped off with some sort of muscle injury. Did not look too promising for any owners. So maybe he's going to get his opportunity at long last, Greenwood, to get some solid Premier League game time. Hasn't happened yet, but he might get his first start in game week 7 against Arsenal. 13% ownership, as we know, and then Button completes the lot. So all in all, we're looking at 79 points, a game week rank of in and around 220k. A huge green arrow, to be honest. I was at 2.1 million after the devastation of game week 5, and now I'm up into the top 1 million again. So progress, good steady progress. I'm happy. There's a long way to go, as I keep reiterating every week. It's really, really early, and don't be disheartened if it didn't go your way so far. It just shows what one good game week can do to your rank. I've over halved my rank in one game week, so let's keep it positive and let's kind of strengthen. I want to strengthen my squad while I'm ahead, when the going's good, as opposed to when it's weak. Apart from the game week rank, I would have to say that all in all, it's a lucky situation when your vice captain kicks in and gets the points. I only switched my vice captain from Salah to De Bruyne at the last moment, thinking that Man City had the juicy fixture at home to Watford. Little did I know that they're going to win 8-0 and De Bruyne would get the 17 points, but that's how it happens sometimes. You get the rub of the draw and it turns your way. Luck tends to balance itself out over the course of one season, but you should certainly celebrate when it falls in your favour like it did this game week for me. Let's look at the watch list. So firstly, I'll just go into my transfers page and pull up my current watch list. Everyone has this in their fantasy.premierleague.com profile. You can add and remove players to your watch list at your leisure, and then you can just go into your player selection view and pick up your watch list like this to have a quick glance over who's in there. In terms of players that I want to remove, I'm probably going to skim right down here. Richarlison at 8 million. I just don't have any interest in Everton at the moment. Certainly not at 8 million. Richarlison's coming off. They need to figure themselves out from an attacking point of view. Moise Kean, Dominic Calvert-Lewin, Richarlison, Sigurdsson, Bernard, all those guys are guilty of just not doing it week in, week out. Well, certainly in the last 2 game weeks anyway, they've been really disappointing. I'm going to take off Lanzini. The reason why I'm going to take him off is because if I was going to go for a West Ham player, I have Haller at the moment. If I was going to go for one, I would go for Yarmolenko because he's a little bit cheaper and he's impressed me so far. So I'm taking Lanzini off for that reason. Jack Grealish got his assists this week. I'm going to leave him on. He's dropped in price to 5.9 million. I want to continue to monitor that, see how far he goes down, because he could be excellent value. He is the captain. He's a guaranteed Aston Villa starter, and he's a creative player, as we know. Rashford has to come off. the groin injury that he picked up doesn't look too positive, so I'm going to take him off. And also Manchester United have been struggling immensely at the moment. They have scored 1 goal, 2 goals in the last 3 games, and yeah, they just haven't been great. Wesley Mopé, I'm not gonna remove anybody else. I'm happy there. These players like Aguero, Aubameyang, Firmino, and even Vardy, Kane, they're assets that I don't really have a route of getting at the moment because of how this price structure of my team is. It would take probably 3 or 4 transfers and an abandonment of the Salah Sterling De Bruyne relationship here to get a premium striker in of the price of like an Aubameyang at 11.1. Very difficult to do without a wild card, in my opinion, and sacrificing your premium defenders, which I'm not willing to do just yet. I mean, I still have a little bit of faith in the quality of the Liverpool defence. Clean sheets have not been rolling in freely, only 1 so far this season, but I'm still going to keep faith for a little bit longer because of their attacking threat. Let's go through the matches quickly because I don't want to bore you all to tears. I mean, we've all watched the games, I'm sure, at this point and recognise the strong assets. I'm going to quickly roll through them. Shea Adams is lacking confidence. He still hasn't scored. I'm not going to add him to the watch list. I'm going to add James Ward-Prowse in, though, because he had abundance of opportunities in this game. He's also on penalties, which is important. He's on set pieces, takes some corners, nearly all free kicks. He's on the watch list. He's 5.8 million. He's dropped 0.2 million in value, so definitely want to look out for. Rico has already been added in, but he got another assist. The problem here is he's 4.1. That's great, but he doesn't get any clean sheets, and this Bournemouth side don't look like they're going to keep any clean sheets going forward this season. So I'm just going to have to consider him because of his price, but I wouldn't have any faith in him keeping any clean sheets or getting any points in that direction. Leicester, great win by Leicester. Maddison, what a superb goal to take the win. Pereira is 6 million. Okay, yeah, it's a pricey way to get into a Leicester defence, an unproven defence really. When you have Soyuncu at 4.6, it's hard to justify. Look at the fixtures though. Look at the FTR rating there for most of those fixtures for the next 10 game weeks. At 6 million, you're going to have to consider Pereira. The reason why he's an absolute magnet for bonus points, and was all of last season. You'll see when you get they've only have 1 clean sheet this season. He's played every minute so far, and in that 1 clean sheet, he got the maximum bonus points, 3 bonus points. He got a goal against Spurs that gave him just a 1 bonus point. But when the clean sheets roll in, I mean, Newcastle at home next, that looks like a good opportunity for a clean sheet for Leicester, who have been decent at the back. Pereira cannot be discounted, even if he is expensive. Last season, 22 bonus points. Look at that. That's incredible. That's a really good bonus point return for a defender, especially when he only had 10 clean sheets. It's a really, really good return. So, Pereira is going to be added to the watch list at 6 million. He is pricey, but he could come into the picture, especially when I have a Digne. I have some premium defenders in around that price, so he offers a straight swap. I am also interested in Ben Chilwell, because he's 5.4 million. I'm going to add him onto the watch list. He only has the 1 assist so far this season, but he's only kind of came back into the team since game week 3 onwards. So I want to monitor him. I want to keep an eye on him and see how he's performing because of the nice fixture run that Leicester have going on for them. In terms of Spurs, Son's already on the watch list. I don't really see a route of me getting him at 9.6 unless I wild card. Nobody else to add from there. Burnley then, Chris Wood. Chris Wood's going on to the watch list because he's a striker, and when strikers start to score, it usually means that their confidence is up. And a simple fact of life, human nature, when your confidence is up, sometimes it's just it translates into points on the pitch when you're an FPL player especially. It's great. 6.2 million. His price has dropped too. So definite option for me, especially when I have a Josh King in my team who I'm not particularly pleased with. He's at 6.3 million. So it will be a straight swap for me. Chris Wood. Fixtures are good. Villa next. Everton at home. Leicester away. So it could be an option for me next week. Mcneil then is going to be added onto the watch list too. He's 6 million. Dwight Mcneil, and he's very, very good. He's kind of anchored himself into this team, into this starting lineup now. He's a youngster. He did okay in his breakout season last year. 3 goals and 4 assists. He's got 3 assists so far this season. So really, really started positively and maturing every week. So add him to the watch list because of those Burnley fixtures. Everton then... I don't know if I have anyone on the watch list from Everton. I'm sure after Richarlison's removal, I don't think anyone's there. Mina got an own goal. Comical. Lundstrom and Norwood returned assists for Sheffield United. And Enda Stevens is already on there for me. He got his 2 bonus points justifiably so. He played very, very well. So no one really to add or remove there other than the Richarlison removal. Man City then, what can I say? I've already got Otamendi on my watch list. What a pity I didn't go for him last week. Well, goal and assist and a clean sheet for a defender. And he didn't even get any bonus points. That's incredible. Ownership still very low. He went up in price to 5.5 million. He's on my watch list. He is probably on my radar the most out of any other asset in the game at the moment. I'm not gonna start adding Bernardo Silva in along with Mahrez and David Silva because I already have 2 assets that I do not want to free myself from, and that's De Bruyne and Sterling. Really happy with them at the moment and to progress with them for the foreseeable future. Newcastle and Brighton at home. Yeah, I don't think there's anyone who's going to go onto the watch list from here. I have Montoya in my defence. I think Dunk and Dan Burn are also similarly priced and equally as good and justified to go into a defence. Adam Webster, 4.4 million, had his 3rd start. He picked up 2 bonus points. The Shane Duffy thing. So Webster, Burn, and Dunk started as their 3 centre backs, and Shane Duffy missed out. So I feel like we're going to hit some rotation with that defence, that Brighton defence, which is making me hesitant to add Adam Webster, Dunk, or Burn onto my watch list. I have Montoya and him playing on the right wing. I think he's not really a rotation risk. So no one really interested in me there. In terms of the Newcastle defence, I don't really want to add anyone in there either because there's no one I'm interested in for the foreseeable future. I'm happy with my defence. Crystal Palace, Wolves, 1-1 draw. Yeah. And again, both teams have struggled of late. And there's no one sticking out for me there. So I'm going to just keep on moving to this West Ham United game. Philippe Anderson, I don't have him on the watch list because Yarmolenko is my preferred player. But he does have an assist to his name against United. He played okay. He's a frustrating player. 6.9 million might be too expensive, so I'm just going to ignore there for the moment. Yarmolenko's on there. Cresswell did quite well. He did quite good. He's 4.9 million. I don't think I'm up for that. I don't think I'm up for spending 4.9 million on a West Ham defender. Especially when they kept the first clean sheet of the season just against United recently. So I don't know, no faith there really. Arsenal then, Pepe's already on the watch list, I believe. He got his goal, albeit from the set piece. Very unlucky for Aubameyang owners, by the way, because Aubameyang apparently gifted the penalty to Pepe to get his confidence up, give him a goal and get him off the mark in the Premier League. It could have been a double-digit return for Aubameyang owners. A lot of people would have had him as vice-captain maybe if they went Sterling or even captain them alone. Very, very frustrating there. He still returned well, though. The yellow card took him out of the bonus points, unfortunately. John McCain, how impressive. Really impressive. Scored a goal. Again, he just gets an incredible amount of shots away every game. He tests the goalkeeper from long range, short range. Whenever he gets a sided goal, he seems to execute a shot. So really, really interested in John McCain at 5.6 million. Fixtures do get a little bit tougher from game week 10 onwards for Villa. So now would be the time to get him in, I would say. Yeah, no one else to add there. Chelsea, Liverpool. I don't think I added Tomori last week, and Tomori has now started 3 games in a row. He's 4.5 million. Injury issues now. I think someone went down. Was it Christensen went off with an injury? So that's a central defender down. He was favoured Tomori ahead of Zuma. So you got to think that he's in Frank's plans. And look how beautiful those fixtures are. The only issue I would have with getting any sort of Chelsea defender in is it could be a bit of a trap with how they're defending. They're not keeping clean sheets, which is an issue. He does have attacking returns though. He got his goal in game week 5. Definitely worth having him on the watch list and keeping an eye at that price point. That concludes it really. The watch list is fairly extensive already, so I'm not going to nitpick and choose players. I mean, there is an abundance of players to choose from. That's what makes the game so interesting and varied, because there's so many different ways of building a team of 15. Let's talk about the crazy predictions for game week 7. Actually, stick them in the comments. Who do you think? What do you think is going to happen? It could be anything. It could be the likes of Lucas Digne scoring against Man City next game week, even though everyone seems to be transferring him out. It could be Liverpool losing against Sheffield United away. Anything at all. What do you think is going to happen? The winning comment will be showcased in next week's video. If we look at last week's video, then there wasn't anything that really came through, so let's just skip through all these preview. There we go, comments. So, crazy prediction for this week: Rooster Booster Watford to heap more misery on Man City. Not necessarily a win, possibly a draw, but we'll score a couple of goals. A lot of you like that one. Didn't happen. Definitely didn't happen. The opposite happened. It was 8-0 Man City. What a bounce back for them, really. But, you know, I said it in last week's video, Watford could have done something. It's just hard to predict this year. Digne to score and keep a clean sheet, and also Ashley Barnes to get plus 10 points. That didn't happen, J-Boy. Unlucky, but thanks for the comment. Kappa will score from a corner kick, 90 plus minutes, the equaliser goal for Chelsea. If that had came true, I don't think it would have been topped all season. That is the craziest of crazy predictions, but great imagination there, Mac. Unfortunately, didn't come through. Crazy prediction: Joe Linton to score a double against Brighton. He nearly did score. He had a couple of opportunities. James Carson didn't happen, and that's it. Nobody else really had any predictions, but I'm hoping that you guys will come up with some intuitive, funny ones this week, and I'll pick out the best one. Hopefully, it comes true too. Okay, so leaving that one, I'm going to talk about my transfers next. So I'm going to just go into the transfers page. I'm actually already in it. So let's look at who is on the chopping block. As I mentioned, Sebastian Haller hasn't been doing much recently. I have 2 free transfers, and at 7.4 million, I don't know if I want to keep him any longer. I should. It's sometimes good to be patient in this game, but there's one player that I want before Haller, and it's Tammy Abraham. Tammy Abraham is really firmly in my eyesight. He's 30% ownership at the moment. The fixtures are incredible for Chelsea. He's scoring. He's proven to scored. He's 3 double-digit holes before his blank against Liverpool. I was very happy that he blanked against Liverpool, because it meant that it kind of just calmed down the steamrolling attitude to get him in. It kind of just pounded down. Even though he's gone up in price, people obviously know that he's good to go now for the next 5-6 game weeks. Brighton at home next. He's definitely coming in. It's just a matter of time for me. I know the Haller's coming out, so I'm not going to actually hit the button at the moment to confirm it. But just to give yourselves a bit of a shape as to what I'm thinking, that's one transfer. Now I have one transfer in the bank. I am probably going to go Lucas Digne out, Nicholas Otamendi in. Digne has City next. Otamendi, I don't think that's a red fixture for me. Man City against any team is not a red fixture unless it's Liverpool, maybe Spurs and Arsenal. Definitely not Everton in current form though. And then he's good to go for the next 4 or 5 game weeks. Laporte is out long term. He partnered Fernandinho in the centre of defence because Stones is also out, so he's nailed for a little while. And he's 5.5 million now. He went up 0.1 million last day, so obviously his ownership is still incredibly low. So now is a good time to get in on him, especially after his huge haul last game week of 15 points. And as we mentioned, he never even got any bonus points. Incredible. So there's my 2 transfers at the moment, and what that gives me is, obviously I could go for a hit. I could get rid of King now and be a little bit over keen, but I don't need to, because he's playing West Ham at home next and he's guaranteed to start. I need to just calm down a little bit and just think a little bit further ahead. Game week 8 away to Arsenal might be a more suitable time to get rid of him. I have a few more options I can do. So next game week then I'll have my 1 free transfer again. Then Donker obviously is a player I do not want to keep for a while. Let's just reverse that. So with these two transfers, with Abraham and Otamendi coming in for Digne and Haller, it frees up 0.7 million of funds for me, and that means that I can upgrade Dendoncker into the 5 million category midfielders. And the one that stands out the most for me, Todd Cantwell. He started the game at 4 million and has absolutely surged in price to 5 because of the 27% ownership. And look at the fixtures for Norwich. They look okay. They look pretty good. They're better at home than they are away. So Crystal Palace away, I don't know if it's worth taking a -4 to get Cantwell in for that game. So it might be a case of me really reluctantly playing Dendoncker again for another game week and hoping that he gets something, and then looking at making that transfer in game week 7. I don't like to take hits when they're not necessary. I have issues in my team. Those two issues are, for me, is Lucas Digne and Sebastian Haller. I need to free up funds. So the Digne move, I've considered Van Dijk, but I do think that there's better clean sheet potential with Liverpool still over Everton. So for the next 3 or 4 game weeks, I prefer to keep my double Liverpool defence intact. Alexander-Arnold then is he's 7 million, but he's the best defender in the game to own. Creates huge number of chances every game. I just cannot see myself getting rid of the assist king. Especially look at those returns, a goal and 3 assists. I mean, they're better returns than most strikers in the game so far. So can't really consider getting rid of him to free up funds. Digne is the only one I can really truly have sleep at night if I got rid of because of Everton's poor form at the moment. So that's what I'm thinking. That's a loose plan. Let me know what you guys are thinking for transfers this week. It's a tricky one. There isn't really any injury worries for me, so there's nothing that is essentially important. I may even just do the one transfer and give it another week to see how the defense goes and start Lucas Digne. He might get some attacking returns against Man City. You never know. He could. He's a very attacking player. He's tied 3rd for big chances, so for chances created amongst defenders and shots in the last 2 game weeks, even though he blanked in both. So he's still creating and getting a lot of opportunities away. Haller to provided there's no more price rises until Friday. Remember, there is Carabao Cup, so there could be injuries, but Haller to Abraham is a straight swap for me and would leave me with another week and 2 free transfers the following week, game week 7 onwards, to kind of rethink it, because we'll have another week of data and we'll be able to make better decisions with the extra data and form from the next week. So we never know. I might just do Abraham. Not sure yet, but I will let you guys know. Keep an eye on the community section for on Friday night, Saturday morning. I'll post my transfers on Twitter, and I'll also stick up a screenshot of my finalized team, captain, vice captain. In terms of the captaincy then, so I'm just going to come out of that for the moment. Obviously, this is my team before transfers. Captaincy, I am actually thinking I'm going to go with Raheem Sterling again. Now, if I get Tammy Abraham in, it may be a good week to put the armband on him, provided he doesn't feature midweek. Because of the form he's in, I think he can score goals against anyone at the moment, and he's got Brighton at home. So a home fixture versus away fixture. Obviously, Salah is a good option against Sheffield United, but they've been resilient so far, so I don't think they're going to give away too many goals against Liverpool. It's going to be Sterling or Abraham for me at the moment. I think if you own the likes of Pukki, maybe a captaincy option for Pukki owners. De Bruyne, definitely still a captaincy option once the Pep Roulette doesn't absolutely floor you once again. Can't see it really happening because he's their best and most informed player at the moment. Then obviously you've got your Aubameyangs. If you own them, your Agueros are also great options. I mean, Aubameyang could score against anyone. And then maybe like if you had the likes of Jamie Vardy, he's a decent there's a multitude of different captaincy options this week. I feel there's nothing that's really, really obvious, so it might be the week to go for a differential option. Let's take a look at the Foomni Analytics feature, which is called the Top 1000 Watchdog, and this is a little kind of decision matrix, as it says here. It looks at all the decisions made by the top 1,000 managers in the game, in contrast to the average manager. So this is the Game Week 6 breakdown. It gives you the average transfers in the top 1,000, the average team value. You can see there's a huge difference between the average there and the average in the bank value. Then it gives you a breakdown on the chips used this game week for top 1,000 managers versus the average. But this is what I want to point you out towards: the top 1,000 template squad, the most popular players among top 1,000 managers, along with their ownership percentages. So Tammy Abraham's there at 54%. So low captaincy there, 0.8%, obviously because of the fixture. But I feel like he might be an option next week. Aguero, 45% captained amongst the top 1,000 managers. Timu Pukki, that's a worry for me. That's a big concern. Obviously, you can't own every player that's very, very popular. But at 83% ownership amongst the top 1,000 managers, I really need Pukki not to do much. And with his track record, first game weeks, that's not something like I'm hopeful with. I don't have enough money in the bank. If I go for my two mentioned transfers to go for King straight swap to Pukki, I'll be 0.1 million short. So the only scenario I can see where I can get Pukki in is if he fails miserably this week and drops in price, so that I can do a King to Pukki swap next game week. I just don't have a route there. The way my team is balanced, I just don't have a route to get him in at the moment without sacrificing a player I don't want to get rid of, like a Virgil van Dijk. So, player overview then gives you a breakdown on the top captaincies amongst 1,000. So as you can see, Aguero and Sterling. It's interesting to see that most players had Aguero in their team and captained them, which turned out not to be the best option. I mean, I don't know how he didn't get more than his goal and assist. He had so many opportunities. It's a mystery to me how he didn't come out of that game with 15, 16 points at least double digits anyway. He only ended up with 9. Unlucky for anyone who captained them, really. De Bruyne and Sterling. So if you look at this, my template's not too far off this at the moment. I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 out of the template squad, 9 out of the 15. You need to have some differentials in there too, so I'm not too disappointed. I'm going to go for Abraham this week. I'm going to get him in some way. And then on the watch list, obviously Cantwell, as I mentioned, is going to be a target for game week 8. I just can't go with Aguero at the moment. Let's take a quick glance at the FPL Crypto 6 Picks League and see who's winning it. So first position, 69 points this week, not bad at all, above average. All hail King Kane. Let's all hail Jordy Christ, because current overall rank is 161st in the world. Really, really great start to the season by this person. If you look at his team, he went with the Aguero captaincy, which mirrors the fact that most of the people in the top 1,000 went for him captain. Very unlucky. De Bruyne, I suppose, was the second best captain if we all knew Sterling was going to be benched. Mccain returns, but the tragedy of this team is the John Lundstrom points locked on the bench. 12 points locked on the bench, and then the Rico second sub too. So 17 points left there, which is painful, which would have elevated all hail King Kane maybe into the top 100 in the world, who knows. But really, really great there. Congratulations to you. Keep up the work. Look at that team value, 100.4 and nearly 2 million in the bank. Amazing stuff. Great competitive league at the moment. There's about 2,000 players in the FPL Crypto 6 picks. Unfortunately, it's closed for entry at this late stage for fairness to anyone who's got in since game week 1. But I probably will launch a second league after the Christmas periods, from game week 18 onwards for the second half of the season. I'll do another league with it and put up a prize for anybody who wants a second chance at redemption. Maybe if it's not gone well for the first half of the season, maybe a second opportunity to get some sort of a prize out of me. So I'm going to leave it at that. My team for game week 7 is definitely not set in stone, subject to change. Keep tabs on me on Twitter, and if you have any questions, drop them in the comment section. I'll try and get back to as many of you as possible. Take care and good luck for game week 7 and the transfer.